at psychiclizcross.com. Is that right?
Yes, thank
Yes,
you.
finally I got it right. Oh my gosh. Okay, we are so excited about this is actually part one of addressing the stuff going on in Idaho, Moscow, Idaho, and or that did happen, that tragedy. And we're going to do mind probing through the mind probe expert, Liz Cross. But then also, on another session, we'll go ahead and ask some of the questions that the community, that maybe Erik can, and even the victims can answer through one of the mediums. So first, Liz Cross, I would love for you to explain a little bit about mind probing, the technique. I think we did
Yes,
something on it before, but I don't know, just in case.
yes, thank you. And thank you for having me here. I always enjoy being on Channeling Erik. Your audience is so wonderful.
I love them. They
They
do.
really are nice people. They're just great and very enlightened. Very
Yeah,
enlightened.
they're my other family. They really are.
I know how that goes. So, for those of you that are really interested in mind probes, you can go to my YouTube channels at Psychic Liz Cross because I do mind probes all day long, right? And it's a style of remote viewing that is not used very much anymore. I was taught by someone old school who unfortunately doesn't teach anymore. And she also was a big fan of the Mind Probe. Well, as it turns out, Mind Probe is my strongest tool in my box.
That's
What
so
you
cool.
do is I connect with whoever it is we're going to mind probe. Now, this is different from channeling. This is not channeling somebody in spirit. This is like basically breaking and entering, as it were, into
Cool.
somebody's subconscious, and you're finding out the truth of what's going on. Because what happens is when somebody tells a lie, a lot of people have these PR machines, and that's held in their conscious mind because they want people to perceive them or the world to perceive them in this really nice viewpoint, this nice life. But underneath all of that, the subconscious, which is what I tap into, that's where the truth meter is. So, with the Idaho murders, what's being reported is only going to be very, very small. I've worked many criminal homicides before, and unfortunately, the press, what comes out in the press is never accurate. It's not even close to what's going on. So I felt that's what we could do. We could probe the police department, the parents, and of course, if you wanted to do a little channeling, we can do that as well.
Okay, that sounds awesome. Well, it would be so cool if one day this could be admissible in a court of law. Because, for example, what about girls? And this is a case that I know very specifically in my own circle of friends and family that accuses someone of sexual misconduct, an adolescent, and they tell the lie so much that they think it's true. The mind probe can get around that one.
Right. The mind probe can get around that for sure. Um, but how do you have it as physical, concrete evidence?
Yeah.
That's the hard part. When I work with detectives, the mind probes are basically just used to point the finger in the right direction, and
Right.
then the detectives are the ones that go looking for the physical evidence.
Yes, of course.
But yeah, but then no, you're totally right. I mean, mind probes are wonderful. And also what I'm picking up on in that present situation that you're discussing, that the person who's making those accusations is very confused and actually may even be bipolar.
Yeah, I believe that. All right. All right. Well, let's get to it. Do you want to start with the Moscow police chief, or what would you like to do?
So just because something is not in a body doesn't mean that it doesn't hold a consciousness. So let's go ahead and grab the entire Moscow Police Department and
Oh,
let's start with them.
all
Yeah,
right.
so
Cool.
I can mind probe entities as well because energy has a consciousness. So
That's
even your
cool.
little telescope back there has a consciousness.
Oh, wow. Cool. Sorry, I've been neglecting you all this time,
Yeah.
darling. Oh, poor.
I was just about to tell you. It just said to me, she doesn't use me. I'm a prop. I just sit
I
here.
know. I'm
She use
so
me more.
sorry. You're too complicated. Okay.
You're so funny. Okay, so let's grab the police department. What would you like to ask them?
What is it that you're not telling us?
What is it? That's a great question. What is it that you're not telling me? Who the suspect is? Do you have a suspect in mind? Okay, at this point, they have a suspect in mind.
Oh,
A male. How old is he? He's around 25-ish, that age range. They're showing me what he looks like.
mm,
And is he known to? He is known to police.
okay. From previous problems?
From previous problems. Yes, he's been arrested before. He's quite well known to police. Is he mentally, does he have like severe mental health issues? It's possible, they're saying. It's possible because there is some talk about a possible stalker, but I don't feel what they're telling me. This is not, it doesn't feel like a stalking situation, or certainly they haven't come to that conclusion as of yet. I feel like this is about money.
Okay. So you suspect that this suspect, and he may or may not be the murderer, but was after money from the victims?
Yes. So at this point in time, the person that they have on the police radar as a potential suspect, and as you know, if you follow any criminal investigations, you can go through multiple different suspects.
Of
So
course.
right now, their current suspect is somebody who is a drug dealer.
Wow, okay. Oh my goodness. Uh, is there anything to the person, the sixth person that's on the lease that we have never heard anything about? Are they following that person as a possible suspect?
Do you believe that any of the people in the house are potential suspects? No, but I
Okay.
do believe there was heavy drug usage in that house.
God, they look so innocent.
No, they're finding out now that, this house was party central.
Oh boy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Was this suspect that they have on their radar known to the people in this house, victims and the survivors?
Let's ask the department. Do you believe that this suspect was known to the people in the house? Yes, very well known.
Were they friends?
Were they friends? Possibly
Or
friends.
business, or was it business?
Business. Mostly, I feel like it's possible drug use transactions.
Okay. Um, was this a target? Was one person targeted?
Oh, good question. Was one person targeted? We believe that the main target was one person, but then obviously, they then went into they got the other ones. But I'm saying, why didn't this suspect get the other two that were asleep downstairs? And the
Yeah.
information that's coming back from the police department is that they were not aware that these other people were in the house.
Yeah, because I think probably that the murderer didn't go through the front door because it had a key code. They went through the back sliding door. I mean, how secure is that? And that accessed only the second and third floor and not the first floor where the survivors were sleeping.
Oh, okay.
That,
What
is
do you
that what they think?
Is that what you think? Yes, that's exactly right. Now, was there signs of forced entry at the back door? No. So there's no signs of forced entry at that back door. That back door was unlocked.
Oh gosh, that's tragic. What? Okay, who was the target? The main target female, or there was one male?
Was the main target a female? Yes, they believe it was the female that was the main target, and the other ones were just consequential.
Ugh, talk about wrong place at the wrong time. What did you guys find that was substantial evidence in the Party Central house?
Ooh, you're like, what's her name? What's her name? Murder She Wrote.
Oh yeah, I got that.
You're
I
like
know.
Miss
Well,
Marple.
I'm not that smart when I was doing it. It's coming into from somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing with doing these mind probes. Like you can't really prepare for them. You just have to think on the spot, right?
Yeah,
So
in this
my
case, picking up Radio Moscow. Wait. Before I forget, before you talk about the evidence that they found, was the suspect, is the suspect, or was he a student at the University of Idaho?
Oh, good question. Do you believe the suspect is a student at the University of Idaho? No, somebody in the community that they know.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So talk about the evidence that that you guys found in the house or
Yeah,
around the house on the property.
yeah, yeah. So, because I used to work for the police for many years as well, I'm going to scrutinize and kind of dig deep here. So let's ask about the security. What was the security like around the house? Non-existent. I got a thumbs down. So are there any cameras around the house? Are there any, any ring cameras or anything like that? Now, I do feel there was some sort of security that was around the front of the house, but it could have been on the neighboring property. So it could have been where the neighbors had a camera and it captures part of their property as well. Now, when the police walked in, what did they find? Okay, they found blood everywhere.
Oh.
And who were the people there was a lot of people in the house. Okay, and who were these people? They were friends of the occupants. And do you believe that these people were involved in any way, shape, or form? No, they're the ones that called the police. This was extremely traumatizing. This was extremely frightening for those remaining occupants in the house. When they found what was going on, it was like shock and horror. The friends came over immediately. They're the ones that called the police, and they didn't even do a good job when they called the police. It was very traumatizing.
Okay,
Um,
wait. So they were not there during the murders, otherwise they could have been murdered. But they went in maybe the next morning or something and found the bodies, the friends.
Yes, yes. So let's ask the two roommates, or all the police will have all this information, but we can always probe their roommates as well.
Okay.
So what happened that morning? So the girls got up. So the remaining girls woke up. They thought it was eerily quiet around the house. They went to look in and they saw like stains on the walls. So there were, apparently where there was blood everywhere. And this was a very frenzied attack. This was not just, one puncture wound. This was repeated
Like a
bang, bang, bang.
rage.
Yes, yes, exactly like a rage. And this put the girls in shock. They ran downstairs again. You have to remember this house does a lot of drugs. So these girls were like, are we hallucinating? What have we done here? And then they call, their friends race over, they call the police. When the police got there, all hell broke loose. Like they secured the crime scene, they held the people there, they took all their information, and then they had to call in forensics. Now this is where it's going to start getting deep. Did you find that there was any forensic opportunity in the house? Yes. What kind of opportunities did you find? That's police terminology, by the way. What sort of forensic opportunities were around the house? So they have done all around the door. They do believe the suspect was wearing gloves. They cannot find any fingerprints or anything to not match the suspect. I'm sorry, to match the suspect, the fingerprints that belong to the suspect, that fingerprints that do not match those occupants in the house. You
Okay.
have to remember there's a lot of people in this house. There's a lot of people coming and going. There's lots of forensic activity, but they can't find anything that really matches the suspect. The house is quite a mess, especially after this sort of crime scene. There was absolutely no fluid evidence from the suspect. So there was no sign of a struggle. Sometimes just from my general police knowledge, if there is a sign of a struggle, the suspect could end up bleeding. If they break a window, sometimes they cut their arms. There could be some sort of injury. A lot of times, not that people smoke very much anymore, but police like to look for cigarette butts.
Yeah.
Where, they finish a cigarette and then they go in and they break into the house.
Yeah.
Sometimes the suspects, just in general burglaries, will go hit people's fridge and eat, leave half eaten,
Yeah.
cookies and all sorts of stuff. So there's a lot of forensic opportunity there. However, in this circumstance, they're saying they believe this crime took place within about 3-minute window.
Oh.
Yeah. So went in, didn't even question, probably didn't wake them up. Do you believe that the victims were awake when this happened? No, they do not believe the victims were awake. And they stabbed everybody that they could see. They
Is more than one person that did this?
Is it more than one person?
Did they believe?
No, they believe this is one person.
Were the victims just so drugged out that they didn't wake up and struggle? Was that part of the reason?
Were the victims so
have drugs?
They were heavily intoxicated.
With alcohol?
With alcohol? Yes, alcohol, and there were drugs in their system.
Oh my goodness.
So lots of drinking, lots of alcohol, which is normal on any,
well, I know college, yeah. Really, of course.
But
was a suspect drugged? Is that why?
Was the suspect drugged? We believe the suspect was looking for money and for drugs.
Well, in 3 minutes, you can't find that. So why, I don't understand. Why did he just kill them and leave without looking for money? And he just changed his goal because he freaked out and saw the mess he had created?
The motive is that's a great question. The motive is very unclear to the police department at this time, but they're saying the possible motive that they can come up with right now is that it's drug related. So maybe they owed money to this drug dealer. Maybe they owed money to, someone else, and maybe somebody sent this person in, but they believe that that's not the case. They believe it's the actual drug dealer that has gone in and done this. Now, this is their current suspicion.
Of course, right. I mean, we don't know if this will ultimately pan out to be exactly what's going on. What mistakes did you guys make?
Great question. What mistakes did you guys make? Well, securing the crime scene was a huge mistake. They should have left everything in situ. Right. The whole thing has just been a diabolical mess from the start to finish. They did not have expert forensics associated with their police department. I don't know anything about this place, but it doesn't sound like it's very big.
No.
They've had to outsource like professional forensic opportunities. The FBI is also involved. They've sent their people in, and the FBI is really not happy with the police work. It's very, very shoddy. Now, I understand this because I used to work for Scotland Yard, London Metropolitan Police for many years, and we were used to dealing with this type of crime scene, this level of crime all the time, day in and day out. Yeah. If you're in the middle of nowhere and your officers are not used to this high level of crime and how to deal with it, this is not something that is in a manual. This is something that officers know by being, having to face it. Being a police officer is really very much learning on your feet and learning through experience. They had really no experience in this type of crime.
Yeah. How are the police officers doing emotionally, including the police chief?
They're a wreck. There's a couple of females, I believe they're on leave. This has absolutely made them devastated. It's shocked them beyond words, especially parents who also have college age children. That's very scary. The whole community has been shocked. A lot of students have pulled out. They're not going to school there. They don't want to go. They believe that this town is at the mercy of a serial killer. Now, that's what the community is believing, that this is a serial killer. He's not going to stop. This is going to be something that he does on a regular basis.
Yeah, but it's not true.
Yeah. Will this have? No, I don't believe, they don't believe that that's true either. But that's the talk of the town.
Well, why don't they go, the police go after previous drug busts and trace it back to the drug dealer, etc.? I mean, somebody's busted for drugs, we'll let you off if you tell us who sold you the drugs, and then go that avenue. Or are they doing that?
So I feel like this person is under heavy surveillance. They're trying to pull phone records. They're trying to pull cell phone data. They're trying to match it all up. Right now, this is just their suspicions. Now, there was this thing that's come out. And the reason I know this is because people in my group have been asking me to probe this for a few days now. Something about a white vehicle that was in the vicinity. So let's ask about this vehicle. What is it about this white vehicle? So this white vehicle was picked up on a camera in the vicinity, moving at around the time that that these murders took place. So do you believe the suspect was in a vehicle, or do you believe the suspect was on foot? Now, see, they believe the suspect was in a vehicle because there's nothing there to say that this suspect. So I see what they're looking at. They're looking at a trail in the snow, like a trail of footprints of somebody walking away from the house. That's not present. This is very much somebody's left in a vehicle.
Okay, but what about footprints up to the vehicle? Or did they park very close? So that
do you believe that the suspects parked in the driveway, or they believe the suspects parked on the road? Okay. So there are footprints or indications that whoever this was got back into a vehicle, and the vehicle drove off, and then they picked this white car up on the cameras.
Okay, are those footprints evident opportunity? I mean, do they have like tread, or is it just worthless?
Oh, that's a good question. I think you're in the wrong job. I think you should be like detective. Are the footprints forensic evidence? Yes, they are. They are using those footprints. They're trying to trace the type of shoe. They're trying to trace the size. Does it look like it looks like a male's footprints. It looks like a rather large male, possibly around 6 feet tall.
Oh wow. Okay. Do you see his appearance, his race, his hair? I mean, can you describe that?
What does he look like, this male? He's about average build. I feel like he may have darkish type hair. They are watching this male. Is he a white male? He looks what can I say? Kind of like maybe olive skin tone.
Okay.
So right now they are watching this male. He is known to them. They're trying to find a reason to bring him in custody. They're working on his whereabouts. The girls did make contact with this male that night.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Okay. So they have made several phone calls to this male during that night, just one or two to that night. So probably trying to obtain whatever it was. And the guy probably thought, well, what drug dealers do you know that are nice people? They're not, drug dealers are not nice people. So that's their lead at the moment. The other thing, which is very interesting, is somebody said some animals were found mutilated near the property.
Oh.
Some wolves. But I don't know how true that is. I know that's very strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
So were there wolves found mutilated near the property? And it looks like something was found shot and dumped near the property. They don't understand that at all. Do you
Is it
believe
by
it's
do they think
related?
it's a suspect or just somebody different?
Do you believe it's the suspect? No, they don't believe it's the suspect. They don't believe the suspect would even try to return to the scene of crime, right? That
Oh,
would be
okay.
very foolish. Have you found the murder weapon? No, there's no sign of a murder weapon.
Okay. Where do they think he is? And Eric, you can help too if you want. Where do you think this guy is? And Eric, maybe you can verify, is this the murderer, that this person we're talking about?
Oh, that's a great line of questioning. Is this the murderer, the person that we're talking about? No, no. Eric is saying this is one of the suspects. I feel like it's this little drug ring. So they'll get close to whoever this person is. They're
Oh,
gonna,
so this guy we're talking about is just part of the drug ring, but
right.
not the actual murderer. But he might lead them to the actual murderer.
Is he going to lead them to the actual? Yes, I do believe that this is who they're checking out, and it'll possibly lead them to the actual murderer. What sort of drugs was this?
Oh, good one. Yeah.
What sort of drugs? Now, Eric is saying cocaine. Sort of, it was cocaine.
Okay. All right. Where Eric? Where is the real murderer? Is he in the state of Idaho? Is he within an X mile radius?
Yes, he lives in the community,
Okay.
keeping a very low profile at the
Yeah,
moment.
no kidding. Will he ultimately be caught,
Will he
Eric?
ultimately be caught? Yes, eventually they do believe this murderer will be caught and brought to justice. I'm asking Eric, do you believe that the white car belongs to the murderer? No,
Oh,
no.
okay. All right.
But this person was possibly in that vehicle.
Oh,
How
okay.
many people were in that vehicle? There was about three
Good
to
one.
four people in that vehicle.
What were they doing near the home?
What were they doing? They were
Trying to
making
get
a
their
delivery.
money, making a delivery.
Yes, they were making a delivery.
Oh boy. All right. Um, Eric, can you describe the appearance of the actual killer for us? We're not going to probe his mind because that's too, that's could be very disturbing. So,
Oh, okay. I probe killers all the time.
oh,
Um, I'm used to it. Um, what does he actually look like? I feel like it's possibly a mixed race male.
okay,
Um, just very nondescript actually, and shorter than 6 foot, not 6 foot.
okay.
Um, do they have, do you guys have a license plate or a tag number for this white car? No, they don't have the tag number. So this is what they're looking for now. They're trying to probe this group of people to find out who this car belongs to. That's going to be their big thing right now. That's what the police are working on. The manpower that is going into this case is unlike any other
Oh,
crime
I
we've
believe
had
it.
to investigate.
Exactly.
Um, so that's what they're looking for. They're looking for who does this car belong to? Now, was this person in that vehicle? Yes, he was. Yes, he was in the vehicle at that time. Do the people in the car, they obviously know that he murdered them? Yes, but they're not going to say a word.
Okay. What's the make
He's
and
very
model of
mentally
the car?
unstable.
Is it an SUV? Is it a coupe? Is it a Ferrari? I don't know. Too many white Ferraris.
No, it's not an SUV. Is it a nice car? It's very nondescript. Just a regular car. It's
A
just a
four
very
a four door or two door?
non. Yes, it's a 4 door.
Okay. Why? If, I don't know if you can probe his mind. How is he feeling now? Is he scared shitless?
Scared? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Why are you scared? What? Because he doesn't want to get caught. He's trying to plot his escape.
Oh gosh. I bet.
Okay. He's trying to go to somewhere else. I feel like, I don't know why this came up, but I feel like he has family in Texas or somewhere
God,
down.
don't bring him here.
Oh, is that where you are? I didn't know
Yeah, I'm
that.
in Houston. Yeah.
He's gonna come live right next door to you. Oh
Oh,
my
goody.
god. No,
Housewarming party for him.
yeah, right.
Ugh,
No, I
yeah.
feel like he has family in Texas and he's trying to plot his escape. The problem is the family don't want anything to do with him. They know he's a troublemaker. They know he's a problem.
But they
They
don't know he's a
really
murderer, probably, right?
No, they don't know that, but they know he's a troublemaker. He's a problem child.
Oh boy.
So they really don't want anything to do with him. So he's trying to find somewhere to go. Do you have any money? No, this guy has no money. No money.
Well, that'll keep him there for a while. Well, so why did he go into a rage and kill so? And has he killed before?
Ooh, have you killed before? No, never killed before. Do you plan to kill again? Ooh, now that's a problem
Uh-oh.
because he really, unfortunately, and I don't want to, glamorize this at all because this is horrific. But I feel like unfortunately he did enjoy that he killed someone.
So he
And
got the face.
so,
Yeah.
I hate that. I really do. But right now, especially the big thing is that I'm picking up is I killed them and I enjoy it because I got away with it. That's where
Yeah.
the high, the adrenaline, the kicks are coming in. I got away with it.
Wow. Well, why did he get? I want to ask also if now he has the makings of a serial killer. But I also want to know why did he go into a rage? Was there some sort of trigger? Something that one of the groggy victims said, or anything? Like he said, "Hey, where's my money?" And said, "Fuck you," something like that. Is there anything that caused him to go into a rage, or was he seething before he even entered the house?
Yeah, those are great questions. He was very angry before he went to the house. He's like, I'm going up here again. These little kids owe me money, right? They want me all the time. I'm not making a lot of money. I feel like he has a lot of pressure. Um, that's what I'm picking up on. He was already angry before he went into the house
Oh,
because he goes in and everybody's passed out.
so they're not able to open up their wallets. That must have pissed him off. Too groggy. So, um, how old is this guy?
About 24.
Okay. All right. So, and there was no resistance to you?
None whatsoever. They were all asleep.
And they must have really had a lot to drink and drugs. Oh gosh. Um, do you have the makings of a serial killer? Do you want to become a serial killer now?
To become a serial killer now. He likes the high. He likes the high, unfortunately. I feel like this was, he's mentally unstable anyway. This is not somebody who's stable. This is somebody who can't control their anger, their rage. And it was a great, from what I'm picking up on now, psychologically, everybody has to understand it was that release of the anger. I did something about my anger.
Yeah.
And that's the basis of bullying. That's the basis of all of it. It's I have this anger built up inside of me. I got to get rid of it. It's a great release. It provides a high, and then we have to repeat the behavior. But
Yeah.
also the added element here is I got away with it.
Yeah. So why didn't you stay and look for drugs and money?
He was too scared.
Yeah, he thought cut his losses, so to speak. We're going to also try to probe the survivors' minds and the parents, perhaps, etc. But I want to ask if you can probe in the future for this guy whether he'll be caught or not.
Oh
Maybe
yeah.
a month, a week from now, however long you want to go out.
Yes.
And we can also ask Eric too.
Eric is saying he will be caught, but I feel like it's because of the FBI investigation.
Okay.
This police department, they're just totally out of their depth here.
Oh,
The FBI have taken over the investigation.
so do you
And
oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, what was that?
No, go ahead.
And I just feel like he will eventually be found.
Okay. Can you probe him and see when he's behind bars? Probe his mind and or arrested?
This year, I don't feel like they'll find him this year. Will they find him in 2023? Possibly 2023. This is such a complex thing. Did he leave any footprints behind in the blood? Yes. So there are footprints behind that match those prints that were getting in the vehicle. So that's why they think that this person is in the vehicle.
Okay. In the white vehicle or some other vehicle?
Is the color of the vehicle white?
Is it the same one I'm talking about?
Erik is saying he doesn't believe that it's a white vehicle.
Yeah, he might have been making deliveries with a few other people in that white car, but the car that drove him to the murder was a different color, right?
Yeah, were you driving the vehicle at the time? No, he was not driving the vehicle. That person was a lookout.
Okay. Oh,
So,
about the murder
yeah,
car.
I'm
What
so
color?
sorry.
What color is the car that he drove to the murder or was driven to the murder?
I feel like it's a dark colored car, and I feel like does it have tinted windows? I feel like it may have tinted windows. So I do feel like it's a darker colored car. And of course, the police are continuing, and the FBI, they're continuing to review all the hours and hours and hours of footage,
Yeah.
of vehicles that are coming and going from the area, and also the main roads leading into that neighborhood. They're having to, really narrow down one by one each individual car. And what they'll do is they will match the cell phone pings to,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. You listen.
Good.
I said this on one of my other videos, that if you are going to commit a crime, you turn off your cell phone. Let's ask him that question. Was your cell phone off at the time of committing the murder? No. So there you go. So there is traceable evidence. Is your cell phone registered? Yes, it is registered to his name. So they're going to narrow down that cell phone information. They'll match it to the vehicles. I mean, this person is still findable. When you're not findable is when you don't have that cell phone data to pull from.
Was he alone in that dark colored car?
No, no.
So is that the one he was not driving? I mean,
He was a passenger.
All right. How many people were in that car at the time of the murder?
There's about 3 or 4.
Wow. All right. So, what are they thinking?
Ooh, okay, let's grab the other occupants in the vehicle and say, what are you thinking? We think he's crazy. He didn't have to do that. That's crazy. And they're scared of him.
Yeah, I bet. Will he kill again if you kind of look into the future, but between now and when he's eventually arrested?
Erik says no, he will not kill again. He won't have that opportunity.
That's good. Is there any other info the police department or even the FBI is withholding from the public now? Other than what we've already discussed?
Is there any other info that let's ask the FBI. Is there any other
that's a good idea.
That you are not telling us at the moment? So the FBI are looking at, who are you looking at? Are you looking at a family member? The FBI are looking at a family member.
Oh, wow.
But what do you mean you're looking at a family member? Well, when they're in these types of murder investigations, whether you're the victim or not, if you're even related to the victim, you're going to be looked into.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So at this present time, they're looking at all the family members, they're looking at their backgrounds, their history, like what the, they're digging everything up about these people.
Yeah.
And do you have any idea who this is? No. The FBI at the moment, they have no idea who it is. They're just following leads, they're following tips. Have you had a lot of tips? Yes, they've had many tips. And what about the police department suspect? Have they put that forward to you? Yes, we're watching him as well. So the FBI are staying extremely open right now. They're not narrowing down anything. They're looking at every possibility. And
Are they even following the they're following the suspect we first talked about, but they are they actually anybody following the actual killer?
oh, that's a good question. Is anybody following the actual killer? Uh, Not at the moment. Erik says no, not at the moment. Not certainly how we would follow. You have to understand this suspect has gone to ground. And when I say that, that means they're staying low. They're not going out much. I don't feel like they're dealing. Once this sort of cools down a bit, they'll start feeling safe again and they'll start making more movements, but they're staying pretty low at the moment.
Yeah. So the parents obviously are horrified. Did they have any idea that their children were doing drugs?
Let's group the parents. Did you have any idea that your children were doing drugs? Some mother is stepping forward going, yes, I knew that uh, my child was smoking marijuana, but that she thought that was the extent of it.
Oh boy. So I can imagine when you probe the minds of the parents, there's not only grief, of course, but there's frustration too.
Oh yeah, they are furious. There's one dad in particular that's been very vocal on the news. Let me grab him. Why are you being? He's like, I want answers, and I want them now. And what are you getting? He says, we're not getting anything here. There's nothing happening. We're not being told anything. We're not given any information. But you see, as we've unfolded in this probe, the reason these parents are not getting information is because they're being investigated.
Oh yeah, of course.
But you can't tell the parents that.
Yeah, I know, of course. Yeah.
But so it's very heart wrenching for these parents who I don't believe that did the parents do it. No, I don't believe that the parents had anything to do with it. But right now, they're not being given a lot of information because the last thing you want to do is tip off your potential suspects. So there's it's stay quiet.
Yeah. All right. So anything else from the parents? And then I want to talk to the survivors, the two survivors.
Anything else from the parents? No, not really. Nothing. They don't really know what's going on. They're just devastated, obviously. I mean, quite rightly so. I mean, this is terrible. You have kids, I have kids, it's just awful, 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 awful.
I know.
And even though your circumstances were very different, it doesn't matter. It's still a loss.
Yeah, losing a child is the worst thing that can happen to a human being. I can verify that. Now, there was we'll talk to the survivors too, but there was some 6 person on the lease. It didn't sound like they lived there, though. Is that true?
6 person. Let's ask the house. There's cool. 6 person on the lease. Yes. And did they live there? No, they did not live there. You're right.
Why didn't they live there?
Why didn't they live there? They did not like the atmosphere of the house.
Okay. So where were they living?
So they had moved. They had gone somewhere. They weren't into the party life.
Oh, good. Okay. You want to talk to the survivors? As a probe the survivors.
Yes. Do you know their names real quick?
I don't. They
That's
were
okay.
on the bottom floor, the very first floor, that was accessible only through the front door that had a keypad code.
Oh, right. Okay. So you couldn't get to them through the sliding glass door, or no?
I guess you could if you went downstairs. I mean, the sliding glass door accessed the second and third floor only, but maybe there was a stairwell that took it down to the first floor. Well, I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay. I've got them here. I've got them here. So I see the ones that were
Survivors in Idaho.
murdered, and then I've got the ones here. Okay, I've got this one. She's real cute. I mean, they're all really cute kids, aren't they?
Oh.
What would you like to know?
Um, did they hear anything?
Did you hear anything? No, nothing. No sign of a struggle. No screaming, no fighting, no loud. Are you a light sleeper? No, she says no, she's not a light sleeper. She's a very heavy sleeper. Do you know where they had been that night? Yes, they told us they had been out. I feel like they'd been to some sort of party, and then but were you asleep when they came? She's like, we were asleep when they came back. We
Oh,
didn't even hear them come back.
were you drunk too? Were you
Were
intoxicated
you
at all?
intoxicated? Yes, she. I feel like she had been drinking that night. Yes.
Were you aware of the drug use, and were you even a part of the drug use in the Party Central house?
Were you aware of the drug use? Yes, she was.
Were you part of that?
Were you part of that? Not too much a part of it, but yes, sometimes. Definitely.
Are you suffering from survivor's guilt?
Are you suffering from survivor's guilt? Yes, this girl has major problems now. Major.
Oh,
Doesn't even want to go out, doesn't want to talk to anybody, is scared of everybody, very, very traumatized.
I can imagine. Do either of you have any suspicions as to who the murderer might be?
Do either of you have any suspicions as to who the murderer might be? They have no idea. They're like, we don't know who they're in contact with. We don't have any idea what's going on here. Um, they really don't. They really don't. They slept through it. Were you the one that found? I'm talking to the girl with she's sort of darker hair, taller, and straight hair. Um,
Okay.
were you?
Their name,
I
sorry.
don't, I don't know her name. I'm trying to
Yeah.
find her. I don't know. Were you? I mean, were you into the drug scene? I mean, she was occasionally. This one is a little quiet. This girl, she's more quiet than the other ones. Do you? I mean, so you haven't heard anything? No, she's like, we have not been told anything. We have not heard anything. And again, now we know why, because obviously
Yeah.
everyone is still under investigation.
Have you had contact with the parents
Have
of
you
the
had
victims?
parents of the victims? No, she's scared to talk to them.
Okay, I bet.
She's
Erik,
scared to speak. I mean, she is traumatized.
Erik, can you help us out with a name of the murderer? Maybe does it start with a vowel or a consonant? Anything? Is it a Hispanic name? Is it a Italian name?
It's just a regular. It's just a regular name. What letter does the name start with? I feel like it may start with an S. There's a whole style of remote viewing that you can do to pull names. Pulling names from spirit is very difficult.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
bet.
but there's a whole style of remote viewing. It takes a very, very long process where you're pulling exact names. But yeah, he's saying, rest assured, Mom, they will find him. He will be brought to justice.
I hope so. Is it possible, Erik, for you to bring forward the victims or not? Or they're not ready for that, maybe?
The victims. I've got them here, but you know what? They actually are in a state of shock, even though they're on the other side. They're still in a real state of shock.
I just want
And
to know if they suffered, or I mostly just want to know that.
no, they didn't feel a thing.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
I know, I know. They didn't feel a thing. Yes. Did you wake up? Did you scream? Did you know that you were being attacked? One of them says, I felt the puncture wound, but that was it. She was gone.
Okay.
But no, they did not suffer. They did not know what happened.
Okay. Uh, did you recognize the killer when you were being punctured?
No, it was dark.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was dark. They were dressed in dark clothing. It was dark.
You say they.
Well, as in, that's just
The person.
them, the person. Yes.
Okay. All right. It wasn't they like multiple. It was just one. Yeah.
No,
Anything
it was just one.
anything else from the victims?
They miss us all. They said, we miss you. And we never meant to hurt our parents. And they feel terrible about how they have betrayed their parents' trust.
Yeah.
And this shouldn't have happened. They're saying this just it shouldn't be this way.
No,
And
of
this
course
has
not.
traumatized everybody. Not only has it traumatized their friends and families, but it's traumatized everybody in the community. Everybody's on high alert. Everybody's being vigilant.
Yeah.
It's just they feel terrible, immensely guilty about all the pain they have caused everyone.
Yeah.
It was, they're taking a lot of blame here for what's gone on. Now, that tends to happen, once you cross over in the spiritual world. I know I'm sure you've come across this many times. They take a lot of the blame. They're sorry that they're still inflicting pain. Their loss is inflicting pain on other people.
Yeah. So were these preordained exit points? Like, was there a spiritual contract involved?
I do believe, was this supposed to, Erik is saying, yes, this was supposed to happen.
Oh, goodness. What was the purpose? What was the lesson behind this horrific tragedy? Obviously, it must have been a lot for the community, I suppose, or I don't know. You tell me. What do I know?
What was the purpose behind the tragedy? It's a life lessons for sure. So, the witnesses, the perpetrator. Now, in the perpetrator's past life, he is killed many times before. He's usually the perpetrator. He usually gets caught. He usually spends time in jail, or he's been hanged for his crimes before, or the guillotine, or anything like that.
So he learned. What was the purpose of him doing that?
Why doesn't he learn? He's stuck in this karmic loop, that he says, well, I'm the one that's going to bring these life lessons forward, and I will do this.
Who are the life lessons for? It could be the parents, the survivors, the victims, the community, the police department. I mean, who, if not all?
It's pretty much everybody, the investigators, the responders, the first responders that walked into that, the friends that came over to call 911, the survivors, the friends of the survivors, the town. Those life lessons are like a ripple effect. I mean, even you in Texas and me a few hundred miles away from you, this has affected everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, the collective, what is the main lesson that we can learn from? Hopefully. I'm sure there are multiple, but
yes, there are. So what is the main lesson that we can all learn from? It's really so for like me and you, it's a security issue. Don't be so trusting. But for them, this is a karmic loop that they've been in for quite some time. I feel like these four always end up in this sort of killing field area and throughout many lifetimes.
yeah.
And so it seems to be this karmic loop, this lifetime loop that they're stuck in. And they treat people badly. I feel like certainly in the previous lifetimes, they have treated this person very badly. They have, looked down on people. I'm not saying that's necessary in this lifetime.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Certainly in previous lifetimes, they've, made fun of, they've looked down upon people. taken advantage, and so there, there's lots of different scenarios going on here
Was it
throughout
like
times.
was this, were they racist? Because this guy looked like he was a mixed race. Did,
No, they're not racist. No,
oh, okay,
no, not in this
not in
lifetime.
this
No,
lifetime. Good.
no, but I feel like in previous lifetimes, this person may have had a learning disability, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we didn't treat those people so nice in previous
No.
lifetimes. We would lock them away and hide them, and we were embarrassed by them, and people would make fun of them. And, so I feel like that's part of the karmic loop that they've been stuck in. Um, but in this lifetime, it's totally different.
Was the perpetrator a serial killer in other lives, and maybe it was that's instinct was triggered with these murders?
Oh, were you a serial killer? Well, he's killed in many lifetimes. He's always the killer. And what was the re-triggering event that caused you to have this rage? So his home life was not very good in this present lifetime.
Yeah.
He was beaten up, I feel like, by a stepdad. Was it a stepdad or was it your real father? No, I feel like maybe a stepfather or a mother's boyfriend. I feel like this is what has made him the person he is today. He has this uncontrollable flash anger.
Yeah. Wow. Anything else?
Especially when you see kids that have had the life of Riley compared to him. I'm not saying that anybody's life was perfect. I mean, we're all human, so we're all imperfect anyway.
Of course.
But certainly it's like, well, they've had everything, and I've come from nothing, and so, and
Yeah.
how dare they treat me in this way? And so that's what I feel like the running theme is in every lifetime. It's like, how dare they treat me in this way? They've had everything, I've had everything stacked against me.
Yeah. I can imagine. Anything else before we close up? I think we've gotten so much information. Anything else from anybody who we've mind probed, or from
just
Eric? From
eric
Eric.
just Eric saying they will find him, they will.
So no
uh,
more of the name. You can't tell if it's a Hispanic name, if it's a typical African American name, if it's a very Caucasian name, Italian name, French name.
it's just like a trend, a trendy name.
Oh,
There's no specific
oh, okay. Yeah.
attachment to it that he can tell me. But now don't forget, though, when somebody goes into the spiritual realm, all these things that are conscious mind constructs like language, culture, society, food, even the food that we have in our culture, those are all conscious mind
Yeah,
constructs. So
exactly.
I
Yeah.
think, a lot of times we let go of those conscious mind constructs, even names. We let
Yeah.
go of
Names are
conscious.
really hard to figure out, from hard to channel, very hard. And dates too, very difficult to channel, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. You can do some very, very intensive remote viewing to find out that information, but that would probably take you several months, and it's like
Oh.
your life's work, right?
Can you mind probe his birth certificate?
Uh, Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, let's probe your birth certificate. And what is your date of birth? What is your, I can't, it's very
It
difficult.
takes too long. No, forget it. That would
Sorry,
take a long time.
sorry, but that's a
I
really
knew
good,
that was a long shot.
those
All
are good
right.
questions though. But again, that's another remote viewing. We could like maybe get a group together of remote viewers and we all try to
Yeah.
view. But yeah, so, and if anybody is interested in taking remote viewing, I don't actually teach it myself, but I do recommend somebody who does teach remote viewing,
Okay.
and you would need to email them at remoteviewit@gmail.com.
At gmail.com. Oh, cool. All right. Well, thank you, Liz, psychiclizcross.com. Thank you, Eric. And this was not easy, but we gathered a lot of information. I love detective work. That's why I became an internist. Okay. I tend to channel medical stuff too. So
Well, yeah, you're basically a detective, aren't you? I mean,
Yeah,
that's what
pretty much.
doctors do. You
I love
you roll out this and you roll out that and you investigate. Of course. I didn't even think of that. That's so smart. Yes, you're pretty much like health detectives.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you, Liz and Eric. I love you very much. Thank you, guys. Please share this, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Love you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
And there she is. Hi. I know I'm finished.